We're back. This is take 2 of the first episode of the Up to You podcast. We're at a way better setting. We tried to do this, what was that, a month ago already?
Yep, about a month ago.
But
all great things, take
yeah.
some time. So it's part of the process.
Facts. We had to regroup, get into it a little bit, but we're just going to get into it. My name's CARSON. We got Coach Pierre Newton. And first episode, we're just going to learn a little bit about the co-host, Pierre Newton. So let's just get into it, man. The origins of Coach P.
Yep.
Where are you from? All that good stuff. Let us know.
So born in Pasadena, California. That's where the Rose Bowl is. I would say that area was just super, inspirational to not only me, but also to a big group of people that, I kind of started this journey with. And then moved here when I was around 11, 12. Got into, basketball a little bit more serious when I moved here. And yeah, now we're doing it full time as a basketball skill development coach here in Arizona. Played my high school here, went to college here, then went to Minnesota, but we'll get into all that. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was about to slow you down a little bit. But yeah, so this I guess we didn't preface this podcast. We're going to talk about kind of people's up to you moments, how they got into hoops, everything, mindset, all that good stuff. But you mentioned you started hooping when you moved out here. Who got you into hoops? What got you into hoops? How did you start hooping?
I would say when I came here, I was a lot more serious about hoops. Out there in California, obviously I was young. I was playing a lot of different sports. So, playing football, playing flag football, playing soccer, trying to play baseball, playing basketball outside with my cousins. It just wasn't organized, just like go outside, go play. But I also think that's the reason why I was, so skilled and ready to go once I got here, because I just had a lot of experiences.
Versatile.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to touch on. That was actually something we talked about a couple days ago, about people already focusing on one sport super early.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit and kind of your thoughts on young kids and their development in different sports.
Yeah, I mean, I did a ton of research on just, kids in general focusing on one sport and then kids focusing on multiple sports. And I mean, the proof is there. Like, if you focus on multiple sports, especially at a younger age, you develop different skill sets, different characteristics from these different sports that can help you once you start to really focus on a sport or pick a primary sport when you're older. So even like Kaylin Clark, you look at her, like she played soccer in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to make a decision her sophomore year, which I think is a great time to kind of make that decision on, all right, am I focusing on soccer or am I focusing on basketball?
Yeah.
And you just watch how she moves on the court. You watch how, precise her footwork is, her cutting, her movements, even the contact. Like, people don't understand, soccer is a very
Big time.
Contact sport. So I really think it's important for kids to just go outside and play different sports, try things out. If your mom's like, hey, try out karate, go try it out. Even if it's for a month or two.
Just try it out.
Just try it out. So, no, I definitely credit, playing multiple sports to help me understand, what it takes to be a good athlete.
For sure. And different skills in different sports, too. You just learn different things. And hand-eye coordination and baseball and all that good stuff. So it all translates. But then kind of back to your journey, your story. So you mentioned taking basketball a little more serious.
Yep.
And then to talk about the last time we talked, you mentioned, you were on some, maybe not like the AAU team. There was no circuit or anything like that. So kind of talk about your AAU journey, kind of middle school into high school, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so got here to Arizona and wanted to, play in organized basketball league. So the first league I played in was the YMCA. YMCA league.
Shout out to the YMCA.
Yeah, love the Y. I still have a YMCA membership. And you know what? It's fun because you get to not only have the experience of playing, but you understand that, there's different levels to playing, right? So on your team, you might have 3 girls, you might have a beginner that never touched a basketball, or you might have an advanced player that probably shouldn't be playing in the rec league, but is playing because maybe his parents don't, know about club basketball, or maybe he just wants to play with his friends. So you get to play with different players, right? So I would say, the YMCA definitely made me understand that there was levels to basketball and there's different, tiers to it. And I think it really helped me because I got to make the mistakes on the court. I got to just play for fun. I got to take shots that, maybe I couldn't take if I was on a more advanced team. So once I kind of made that jump to playing on a club team, I understood the roles. I understood my confidence level. So I definitely think that kids should take steps and not just jump all the way to club. But I guess we'll kind of get into a little bit more of that.
Yeah, because I was going to pause you there for a second, because I think that teaches you a lot of things as well on the mental side of things, right? Like learning your roles and getting the confidence. And I think a lot of kids get thrown into the top club team because their parents put them there, and all of a sudden every shot is high pressure, or, they just can't really fit in. They don't know. Not a lot of skill development. They're just kind of, I'm on this team, so I must be nice. But that's not the case. But yeah, so let's talk about that, because you went from the Y to an actual club team, but your story on how you got to that club team is pretty interesting. So dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so the YMCA, you play around, I think it's like around 7 or 9 games a season. And our team, we added a game. So we added one extra game to play against a club team from Arizona. And they were called Team AZ. And at that time, Team AZ was the premier club team. There was no EYBL, there was no Adidas circuit, there was no Under Armour circuit. It was kind of like these mom and pop teams that end up, kind of being these huge teams with a whole bunch of experienced players and talented players. Team AZ was one of those teams. So we played against them. Obviously, we were outmatched, but I had a really good game against them. I think I had around 40 points or something like that.
He said 40.
And
what grade was this?
This was like 6th or 7th grade. And yeah, I had a really good game, again, because I was so confident, and I was just like, I didn't even understand who we were playing against. I didn't really care. It felt like another YMCA game.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I played so well, because if I was, so caught up in, oh, wow, we're playing against, Team AZ, this is one of the best teams, like, maybe I wouldn't have performed like that.
Yeah.
But I had a different mindset. I had the YMCA, mindset of like, all right, we're just gonna go play. You know, with my homies, we're just hooping. Had a really good game. Coach talked to me after, talked to my parents after, and said, hey.
The opposing coach, right?
Yeah, the opposing coach. Yeah, Team AZ coach talked to me, talked to my parents, and they're like, hey, this kid can play. You guys should definitely take a look at our program, take a look at what we're doing. He could benefit from traveling, playing with better players. And yeah, that's kind of how the whole journey started with the more.
That's dope. You made a good point too about just showing up and playing, because if you would have known like, I'm playing Team AZ today, you would have been kind of maybe a little nervous.
For sure.
I actually saw, I think it was on another podcast, I saw Josh Okogie talking about that, how he wasn't really ranked, he didn't really pay attention to the rankings, he just showed up and hooped, and then kind of like you, he just ended up turning up against a crazy team, and then it took off. But he even said, it's like, if I would have known that was the number one player in the nation, I would have kind of tweaked out, or been intimidated if he was guarding me, vice versa. So I think that's important.
It is,
and it really is just simple, man. Just show up and hoop.
It's crazy, because a lot of kids, man, they just get so caught up in who they're playing. These kids are doing these type of dunks in the warm-up lines. This kid just did a step back 3 in the warm-up lines, or they're even watching the YouTube. They're watching the kids' YouTube before they play them,
which is crazy.
And
almost being a fan a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, I see the benefits too of watching their YouTube if you're looking at it for scouting report, trying to understand what this kid likes to do, right?
Move.
Because you can use it for the game plan, but then it's like, you have situations where kids are just almost being fanboys, and then the game starts and you're getting blown out by 30 because you're just in awe of who this kid is or who this team is. And then
it's easy. What's funny about that is, like, you get this idea in your head, like, he's the number one player, and then you're kind of intimidated, and then he does torch you, and then it's just easy for you to say, he's just nice, rather than, giving them your all too.
No, 100%.
But yeah, so I don't want to skip over that. So we talked about AAU club team.
Yep.
And then your high school journey is interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to skip to senior year because you won a big award that year. Senior year or was it junior? Senior
Senior, yeah.
But yeah, talk about your high school journey because it's different than most people. So yeah, dive into that. Where'd you go to high school?
So high school journey. So after Team AZ, well, I would say during Team AZ, obviously playing with a whole bunch of different players that are very talented. High school is, kind of a main topic when you're the 8th grader. You're trying to figure out where you're going, who you want to play with, what high schools do what. So, a lot of my friends, they were going to Mountain Point. That was like the school that a lot of my Team AZ teammates were going to, Mountain Point, right? So,
and is it different out here? So back where I'm from, wherever you live determines where you go, and then you kind of have to like open enroll if you're trying to go somewhere else. Is that the same out here?
To a point, yes, but they have the open enrollment pretty flexible here, where you can pretty much go anywhere you want.
Got you.
You just got to fill out the paperwork. I think it's like a certain time period. You got to fill it out, and you can go pretty much wherever you want. So, Team AZ, everybody want to go to Mountain Point. It's a really good school, football school, basketball school, huge school. Lots of funding, stuff like that. So everybody wanted to go there. So that was the choice I made. I made the choice to go there. And it worked out because at the time, my cousin was playing football. He was really good. He was going to that school already. So we got to like carpool and kind of really make it, beneficial and also easy and convenient for my parents. So it worked out. Went there, and probably I would say within 3 months, 4 months, it's just the drive on my parents. The school itself just wasn't a good fit for me. So it was like, okay, what do I do now? And there was a new school right by my house. It was called Fairfax, Betty H. Fairfax. Brand new school, just built, and they only had freshmen at the school.
Oh, wow.
So it was just a different setup, right? So I'm going from a school with, you got freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors to a school with only freshmen.
That is.
So it was a different setup, because I'm coming from a super advanced school with all these different things going on to a school with only freshmen trying to figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
But again, that helped me so much because I got to experience, I guess you call it a normal high school, and then going to a high school that only has freshmen with a different set of, confidence and skill set. So went there, played freshman basketball because we don't have varsity, we don't have JV.
Yeah.
So I never had a chance to skip steps and go to JV, which I think helped me. A lot of kids are like, I have to play varsity my freshman year. I have to play JV. Why?
Yeah.
Why? The game experience means so much more. You can't duplicate game reps.
Yeah, no.
Like you can't.
You can't fake minutes.
No. My guy Buff, shout out Buff. He's one of the top scouts in Texas. He's always tweeting about like game reps. You can't duplicate it. Like he sends a whole bunch of kids to schools. He's like an exposure scout, and he kind of does a lot of things for the Texas scene. But anyway, he always talks about game reps. You can't duplicate it. Game reps. And he talks about the transfer portal. The reason why these kids, and I know I'm on a tangent right now, but
keep going.
The reason why these kids from these smaller schools go to like these bigger schools after they get game reps at these smaller schools, averaging 10 points, 12 points, and then go to the Big East and average 15, 16 because they have game reps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you might go to the Big East and play 7 minutes and average 2 points per game. You're not ready to go.
Nah.
So the game reps helped me freshman year. And then, sophomore year, we had a JV team. Again, game reps against JV team.
Yep.
Junior year, we finally had a varsity team, but we were all young.
Yeah.
And we're figuring out varsity, and we ended up making the playoffs my junior year.
So you got to have a solid core, though, growing up together and playing together like that. So.
Yeah, we had a really solid core. Again, my head coach was amazing. His name was Coach Dominguez, one of my favorite coaches. He was a military guy. Marines, was in Desert Storm, I believe. So he just had a different mindset, man, and it helped us. So
that's dope. So junior year, finally got to the playoffs, but then senior year, you won Max Preps Player of the Year. Talk about that. What went into that? What went to hooping like that from just kind of starting 8th grade, middle school a little bit, to fast forward a couple years and you're Max Preps Player of the Year out in Arizona.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a testament to like my parents allowing me to, go to these different gyms and open gyms. And at the time, it wasn't really training. It was just like going to different open gyms and playing pickup with guys. And I played with adults. Like I played at Lifetime Fitnesses. I played at LA Fitnesses. Obviously, me and my friends would go to different runs. But that summer was like, I made a big jump because I was playing so much.
Yeah.
And just the experience, again, having game reps against older players instead of playing against younger players or players that I was a lot better than really helped me. So once the season started,
it was go.
It was go. It was easy.
And that's a lot of NBA players talk about that, like instinct too.
Yeah.
Just playing a lot. You can't really replicate instinct you can go hard in a drill.
Yeah.
But, you can't really duplicate a defender jumping out at you or not jumping out at you and things like that. Like KD always says his instinct, just hooping at parks and playing pickup and stuff like that. So definitely just.
It gets lost now, bro.
Big time.
For no reason. Like,
For no reason.
I understand. Like I get it. It's the dopamine on the phones, like kicking in and all that. But I bet you if more kids play that, it doesn't have to be the park. Like we're at this beautiful park right now. Like it's nice outside. Like why can't you get 4 or 8 kids to come out here and play 4-on-4? Or you know what I mean? Like why can't you do that?
Yeah, it's crazy. People would rather be on the phone, scrolling, watching other people do it.
I guess.
All right, so Player of the Year. Let's talk about college. Before that, let's talk about recruiting.
Yeah.
Where did you have interest? Where did you have offers?
Yeah.
Kind of what was that process like? Were there any crazy coaches? Anything that, kind of surprised you about the recruiting process?
So senior year, like you said, Max Preps Player of the Year. We ended up winning the state title. Kind of underdog story. End up changing my position too as well, going from small forward to point guard, which really helped my recruitment and kind of like jump-started everything for me. Shout out Anthony Ray.
I would say, we didn't talk about that last time. That's interesting.
We didn't.
So change of position. So usually you kind of hear a guard going to maybe like a bigger role because they grew or something like that. What went into that decision before we get into the college stuff?
Yeah, like, I don't know. My whole life, I naturally was always a point guard. But, kind of, I would say the generation that I was playing in, it was very position-focused. Nowadays, like, positionless basketball, right? It was very position-focused. It was like, all right, you're the 3rd tallest player on the team. You're going to be the small forward, So it's like.
You're the 3.
Yeah, so that's just naturally what I had to play. And then, playing on Team AZ, being around different players, the network, right? Anthony Ray, one of the top scouts in Arizona Preps, he was like, dude, you're a point guard. Like, after that state title game, because our starting point guard got fouled out, and I ended up playing point guard. And I think I finished the game with almost a triple-double, like, whole bunch of assists, just making the right reads and stuff. And he's like, dude, you're a point guard naturally. Like, yeah. And he was like, 6'5" point guard sounds better than 6'5" small forward. And I was like, you're 100% right. Yeah. So made that switch. Played on a really good club team. So I left Team AZ, ended up playing for AZ Magic, who Isaiah Thomas played for, Jared Bayless, like all these like crazy players played for Arizona Magic. Very talented team. We ended up winning like 35 games in a row. Like we were top 10 in the country.
Jeez.
Like we were really good. USC commit, freaking Lehigh commit, Texas Tech commit. Like we had, we had a really good team. So that's kind of when the recruitment really started to kick off. Had a couple of schools coming to open gyms, like at my high school. That's when I knew, like, okay, this is serious. Yeah. So the offers were kind of spread out, but most of them were big West schools, West Coast Conference schools, kind of like the smaller West Coast, type of schools. One of the schools that I really wanted to go to was Pepperdine. And this is a great story for kids. They offered me, they wanted me to come out on a visit, and I end up going to my prom and rescheduling my visit with them. And then another kid went on a visit maybe a day after I was supposed to go and end up committing there. So once that happened,
that's crazy.
Offer gone. And
I want to touch on that too, because there's kind of been like a viral clip of Mikey Williams. Everybody knows Mikey Williams. He's like, I'm not going to prom. I don't go to parties.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to do nothing for me. And some people were like agreeing with it, and some people were like, bro, just enjoy life, things like that. And obviously in your situation, that was everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, you skipped out on that to go to prom. And yeah, so I guess think more long-term decisions on that kind of stuff. And talk about that.
Think long-term decisions. Again, I was at a newer school, so like we didn't really have prom.
Yeah.
It was like, oh wow, this is the first prom for our school. Like, I feel like I should probably go to this.
Yeah,
and
at
I
the
didn't
time,
think
it's the biggest deal.
Yeah, and you don't think that like, okay, if I reschedule it like 3 days after, like I should be fine. And I didn't even think like at the time that, oh, somebody's gonna commit or it's just like you're a kid and you don't realize it. And then also it's like your parents are gonna stick by you and be like, hey, if you want to go to prom, that's fine.
Yeah.
But understand that, like we don't know what could happen.
A lot
with
of things
offer,
out of your control.
Yeah, a lot of things out of my control. So made the decision, and obviously, it's paid off in the right way.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, if you're a kid and you're serious about playing basketball and that's your priority, then that's your priority. Like, don't sacrifice things unless you think that thing is more important at the time. So,
and we'll touch on more stuff of like the recruiting and kind of what you learned from that and what to know about who else they're recruiting. What other players that got interest, but you just didn't know what questions to ask at the time.
Exactly.
So yeah, Pepperdine didn't work out, but then you did choose a school.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
So I ended up being a preferred walk-on at ASU. So I basically turned down like low to mid D1 offers to be a preferred walk-on at ASU. So one of the coaches.
How did people react when you did that?
They were excited for me, to be honest, because so at ASU I had a full ride scholarship through, I think it was the Obama scholarship at the time. So they basically like pay for your entire school. ASU knew that, and they were like, okay, well, this kid already has a scholarship to go here. We like him. They came to a whole bunch of games of mine. They liked everything that I was doing. So they ended up saying, hey, you come here on the Obama scholarship. You have a spot on the team. You can earn a scholarship here. And they had a really good game plan for me. And they also had a track record of preferred walk-ons, getting scholarships and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I made that decision. And it was a great decision. I loved everything about it. Learned so much. Played with some really good players. Got to expand my network more than anything. Yeah. And then obviously ASU is a good school, a fun school. So it was a great time.
Good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. I know we touched on it the last time, but yeah, kind of was there any not pressure, but was there anything different, like knowing you're a walk-on versus kind of the scholarship players? Was there any kind of weird things going on in the locker room that way, or were the dudes pretty cool about it? Because I heard some horror stories of walk-ons and the scholarship players thinking they're the dude and not giving them respect or anything like that. So was there anything going on? For me, no, and I think it's because it's kind of like the mindset you come in with. Like me going to think about it, I went to a brand new high school, so we had to grind for that. Yeah. Then, even the Team AZ thing coming out of nowhere, had a grind for that. So it's like I came into the situation like, you've been here before. Yeah, it's like back on even playing field or back on zero. Like I have to work hard. Yeah. I have to show everybody who I am. And then also too, like you can earn respect. You can earn respect by being early. You can earn respect by being on time. You can earn respect by killing the dudes. Yeah, killing these dudes. And I was like, like the coaches gave me a nickname like off the rip because I was just like going at guys. Like, I knew I could play, and that definitely helped me in that process. That's dope. Yeah. So ASU, you were there for a year, right? And then you decided to transfer. Talk about kind of that process, where you went, why you decided to transfer, all that stuff?
So back then it was a little different. We didn't have the portal. We didn't have the whole like Twitter recruitment where you can like kind of restart your recruitment and see who's interested, see who's not.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta wait to see who's gonna call your phone, you know. And at the time,
So how do you announce then? Does your coach kind of say, "Hey, this dude's free"? It's kind of on your own.
it's literally you talk to your coaching staff and say, "Hey, I'm a transfer." They're like, "All right, well here's the paperwork. You sign it, you do your thing, and that's it." And then you have to literally like what I did was I contacted my AAU coaches, and then I contacted like my high school coach and the director of our club team, and that was it. Like
you said, "Hey, I'm trying to find a new school."
Yeah.
Wow.
And they call who they call, and
that should be
hits back.
A testament to how easy people have it now.
Oh,
you can
it's
tweet,
so easy.
You can have somebody edit a mock-up and say, "I'm entering the transfer portal," and
you have somebody make an edit for you and just like, "Hey, I'm into the portal."
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's just different.
You enter the portal, so-called back then.
Yeah.
And you go to Nebraska Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how they found you, how you found them, and the decision to go there.
Yeah. So I believe the associate assistant coach at that school was in contact with Anthony Ray. So he was our club director, or my club director at the time, and was interested. They had like a ton of resources there, and it just, at the time, it made sense. I mean, no other school was really like hitting me up like that. I mean, it was a lot of junior colleges, and at the time I was just like so turned off from junior college, but again, junior college is a great outlet, and it could have been, you know, really special, but at the time I was just like, no, I want to continue my education, like I want to go to a 4-year school, yada yada yada. So end up going there, and it just, that school, that just environment wasn't the best for me.
Yeah.
As far as like just not only the basketball side, I felt wasn't where it needed to be, but just like the school in general.
Yeah.
You know, so
I can't even imagine going from ASU, probably one of the larger campuses in the nation, to Nebraska Kearney, small Midwest campus. There's a lot that goes into that, and there's a massive difference between the people in the Midwest in ASU. So there's just a lot of changes. So I'm sure that was kind of a shock in general.
Yeah, for sure.
But then again, you transfer again, and you go to UMD, Minnesota Duluth.
Yep.
So how did that happen? I know the last time you mentioned that from the jump they kind of showed interest. So yeah, talk about going from Nebraska to UMD and all that.
Yeah, UMD was a great decision because, you know, those coaches were there. And what I mean by that, were there. They started recruiting me when I was a sophomore in high school. So they were at a different school called Bemidji State, and they were in the same conference as Duluth. So they ended up going from Bemidji to Duluth. They recruited me at Bemidji and kind of like followed my career all the way when they got to Duluth. And then once they saw me in the portal again, they were like, you have to come here.
Yeah.
Like, and quick backstory, when I was a sophomore, I visited Bemidji because they were so on me, and they were like, hey, this school is perfect for you. Like, you should definitely come here.
Did you visit in the winter?
No, I went to Bemidji in the summer.
I was
so it was
Bemidji,
nice.
Man.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Yeah. My grandma's from Bemidji. Woo.
For real?
Yeah, let's go.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so like, again, like, that's why, like, it's just funny. Everything happens for a reason because I end up going to a school with coaches that knew me since I was a sophomore in high school. And they knew my game. They knew exactly, like, what I wanted to hear as far as, like, the school piece of it. And it just worked out. You know, went there, learned a lot, played for an incredible coach.
Yo, what's good? It's Carson. If you have made it this far, we appreciate you watching. Thank you for the support. With it being our first episode, we had a little bit of an error and the camera went black on us for like 5 minutes and we didn't notice. So this is me kind of cutting in, saying what's up. And I figured it'd be a good time to tell you again, thank you for the support, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We have a ton of good episodes coming for you. We're going to keep just pulling up on people, raw content always. And yeah, it's just the beginning for the Up to You pod. So again, thank you for support. Thank you for watching. And tune in for the rest of the episode. All right, peace. So you check in, it's time to play, and you start averaging 13 a game the first season that you play there.
Yeah.
And then the next season you jump to 20. And a lot of people that maybe don't play basketball or really pay attention, they might kind of think of like, okay, whatever, that's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
7 points is a lot. You're getting more shots. You're making more shots. What kind of went into that? Was the coach giving you more touches? Were you just being more aggressive? Were you finding ways to get to the free throw line, to get to the hoop? Kind of what went into, making that jump?
Yeah.
And how did that go?
I would say I was just more focused on my development. And that's the reason why, I'm really passionate about the skill development, the player development side of things, because I can see, or I showed to myself that the development can happen very quickly, but it's also dependent upon like what type of focus you put on it and how you focus on the details, and just making it a priority to like put in the time, and I understood that like if I did the right things input wise, then the outcome would be exactly how I wanted it to be. So, I was focused on staying there. I was focused on getting stronger. I was focused on getting better, and it happened. So
at you bring up or made me think of something. So at a school like that, like UMD, what's their development like? Is it a lot of it on you? You just kind of get keys to the gym and they're like, all right, get better? Are the coaches on you saying you need to work on this, because I know obviously at the bigger high major D1s, you got all the GAs, you got the managers that'll show up to the gym whenever you want. You got the strength coaches, all the things that you could ever want. So what's it like kind of at that level? Is it on you? Did you have help? What was that like?
Duluth, if you guys look up the school, it's the size of a D1 as far as like the population of it.
Enrollment?
Yeah, the enrollment. Like it's a pretty big school. So they have resources. A lot of people that work there worked at Division I schools. Our AD was from Notre Dame.
Oh, wow.
So the resources were there. And we had the assistant coaches that were really focused on our development. They put together a plan for us. They understood where my weaknesses were, and they were kind of like, hey, this is how you should work on those skills. And obviously, I took some of the things that they had, and then I put in my own stuff. And then also, the strength coach there was really good. So I got to work with him individually, come up with a personalized plan. And, just I would say a combination of all those things really helped. And I think for young players, it's like, listen to what your coaches are saying, understand what they believe you need to work on, add whatever pieces you believe you need to work on, and then also I think that strength training and then the flexibility, the speed, the foot movement is very important too as well. So there's a lot of layers to it, and that's the reason why, I feel like I'm a successful player development coach, because I understand there's layers to the game.
Big time. Yeah, and that's another thing that I kind of want to give kudos to you as I've been kind of hanging out, coming to these workouts. You definitely take a different approach to every player. I've definitely been to a lot of hoop workouts or had trainers in the past as well that would just be like, all right, we're doing this every single time.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're doing the stationary ball drill,
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't get super better. I felt like it wasn't really focused on what I needed to. So that's something that you do a very good job. Every player, it's like, hey, we're working on this because you need to work on this.
Yeah.
It's not just like all right, we're going to get in and, shoot some shots and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So that's big time. But college hoops obviously went well, and you started to look at becoming a pro. So how did is it recruiting, the scouting? How did the overseas agents find you? Did you have an agent? Talk about that.
Yeah, so the overseas or the professional, it's called scouting. Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I wanna take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
So college hoops is over. Were you like, I want to play pro, or did somebody approach you saying you should take the next step? Or
that was always on my mind.
This was always the vision.
Yeah, always my vision to play professional. Our coach at the time, Matt Bowen, he had a couple guys that went on to play overseas, so I would pick his brain, ask him, hey, how did this happen? How did James? How did these guys that you coached? How did they end up going overseas? And he was like, hey, he went to this camp, or he looked here for agents, or these are the guys that he was looking for advice from. So he kind of helped me with putting together a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I put together that plan, I knew exactly how I wanted to go about it. Had a couple camps that I wanted to go to, had a couple connects and network situations that I wanted to put myself in. And
I would say, and that's big, that put yourself in, because a lot of I think what I'm kind of getting from is you sought out a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You did a lot of things yourself, hence, the Up to You podcast.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people want stuff handed to them. A lot of players maybe don't know who to ask, don't know where to go. They think it's just going to, knock on their door and opportunities are going to fall in their lap.
For sure.
So talk about that a little bit. Like, did that just come from you really wanting it? So you were seeking out the questions, trying to find the answers?
Yeah.
Where did that, I guess, kind of come from? Is that credit to your parents?
Yeah.
Like, that's big.
I would say credit to my parents, and then also to like my uncle. He lived with us like growing up. Well, he lived with us when I was probably like elementary, middle school age. He went to ASU, so he's younger. He's the youngest in our family, in my mom's family. So he's the youngest sibling. He went to ASU. So it's like having like a big brother almost like in the household, and he's like a college student, like he's young, like he's figuring it out, but he's always been like super self-motivating. He's an entrepreneur right now. He has multiple businesses. And he just always was like seeking out information, and I think that whatever you're doing, you got to seek out information on your own. You got to do your own research, and you have to love what you're researching. Mm-hmm. So I love basketball, so I would research everything about it. And that's kind of how you know if you love something too, because if you can sit there and look at, I was going through directories of agents. I was going through directories of agents and like, going through all these different players, trying to figure out who they're signed with, why they signed with them, and just being obsessed with the process of it.
Yeah.
And credit to my parents, credit to my uncle, credit to my family. That's just kind of how I was raised, and it definitely helped me out with that whole process.
No,
for sure.
Big time. That's true, man. If I find myself like just researching the stupidest stuff that other people be like, what are you doing, bro? But I just love it.
But you love it.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to your brand, you're gonna research
big time.
Quality. You're gonna research
everything.
Everything about it. So
absolutely,
it definitely, it was one of those things where it was like, dude, I love hoops, so I'm gonna research.
Yeah. And you want to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And another kind of not backstep, but was it always I want to go to the league, or did it kind of transfer just I want to be a pro overseas? How did that kind of mindset go? Was it just like I'm gonna go overseas, then I want to go to the NBA, or was it just like I want to go be a professional basketball player and get paid to hoop?
There's necessary steps for me to take to play in the NBA or have a chance at the NBA. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to do. I was watching the PJ Tuckers, the Pat Bevs, those type of guys that, had unconventional routes. And, those unconventional routes paid off for them. So I knew it was going to be a journey. So I was just ready for the journey itself. Mm-hmm. And it was a whole bunch of roundabouts and U-turns and, wrong directions and stuff like that. But I ended up figuring it out. And then once I did, I ended up playing in some pretty cool places. Yeah,
and we're going to get to that. So I think we went off on a different path a little bit. But so you asked your coach, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. You went to these camps, you set yourself up, and then you hired an agent, at least for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Yeah, I hired an agent. He was a primary German. I think he was a German. Yeah, he was a German agent. So his focus was German clubs. So that's first league, which is BBL, all the way down to the bottom league. So he was focused on Germany. Good guy, good people. Just wasn't a priority over there. So I understood that I had to take matters into my own hands, end up letting him go, and then went on a journey of kind of being my own agent and doing my own research again, and putting myself in a position to have my first opportunity in India.
That's so. To the people that are in that position trying to look for an agent, what would you tell them to look for?
Look for a person that's going to make you the main priority. Look for a person that is going to be realistic with you and not tell you everything that you want to hear. If you're in everything that you want to hear, it's probably the wrong person to sign with.
Yes, man.
If you're hearing pushback on this thing, but you really love that this guy wants you to be one of his main focuses. He wants to put you in position to expand your game development-wise. He cares about the video room. He wants to see you get better on and off the court. And he's trying to get you an opportunity. Those are the people that you should be focused on, not the guy that's saying, hey, you're going to be a first-round pick and you're coming from a Division II school. And it sounds great. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is the guy right here.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but it's like, let's be real. If you're not on any of the mock drafts, like, what are we talking about? You didn't even play at, a school that won more than 10 games. Like, no one's going to look at you.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, India, right? That was the first one. Signing the first pro deal, how did that feel?
Felt great, man. It was a unique situation because their training camp was here in Arizona. A lot of guys that I knew growing up, and the league was ran by a guy that had amazing resources. He cared about basketball, and he was really trying to expand it over there in India. And, I mean, if you just look at the quality of facilities that we played in, the quality of video that was provided, it was an amazing experience. It was fun. We stayed in 6-star hotels. We ate good.
Wow.
We lived good. It was a fun experience.
Are you a picky eater?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying, because some people, man, just going straight to India just with that food.
Yeah, I found things that I loved. I like seafood, and they made a whole bunch
go.
of fish, and, I just kept it simple. Fish, rice, veggies.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't try to go outside of that palette, so.
So you said it was solid, 6-star hotels. Obviously, that doesn't suck. But talk about, you're overseas. You're away from everybody. Kind of talk about the first maybe month, 2 months there. Were you loving it? Were you, like, homesick? Did you, were is this the right decision? Did you have any self-doubt? Anything like that?
No self-doubt. I loved it. I think when you play, for instance, in college, I got away from my hometown. So I think when you get away early, you start to understand that you can kind of carve your own path.
And you're okay.
And you're okay with it, and you can call your parents, you can FaceTime people, you can get in contact with people, and you understand that at some point you're going to go home. You know what I mean? You're not in jail now.
Yeah.
At some point you're going to be able to go home, and you understand that, this is what you want to do. You got to make sacrifices.
And then play style. Is it different over there? What's just the speed of the game?
Every country has a different style. I would say India was trying to emulate the NBA style of basketball. They were trying to play fast pace, pick and roll game, get downhill, who can score 100 fast, the fastest, that type of deal. So it was fun. It was fun basketball. It was a lot different than college. It was a lot different than playing Division II in Minnesota. It was get up and down, score. It was more pickup style,
And then after India, where else did you play?
So after India, went to Bethlehem, which is in between Israel and Palestine area.
Of course.
So that's the birthplace of Jesus, if you guys don't know.
Got to be tapped into Bethlehem.
Yeah, got to be tapped into Bethlehem. And just the energy there was just
I'm sure.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Sure. you feel it. You feel the spiritual nature there. You feel everything about it. It was a great time. The people there were amazing. The food in that area, man, so good.
Really?
So good. Yeah, it just, again, they just eat better overseas.
Yeah.
You don't feel all the processed BS.
Yeah, you don't feel terrible.
So went there, played really well. Ended up beating their rival, which they haven't beaten over 10 plus years. So it was
going up in Bethlehem.
Yeah, it was lit. They were serious about hoops, serious about hookah.
Yeah. I guess you're a pro hooper now. So in those places, obviously here, if you see an NBA team, people are going crazy. Was there fans? Were you signing autographs? Was it, things like that? People recognizing you?
Yep. India was signing autographs all the time. People loved it. They looked at us like superstars out there. They loved basketball. Cool. They knew exactly who we were. Same in Bethlehem, same thing. Anytime you got a big win or anything of that nature, people were just trying to feed you and put you up in different places. So it was fun, man. That experience, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a great time.
So Bethlehem, then where else? Where else did you
go?
go?
Bethlehem, and then it was Mexico for a little bit, and then Luxembourg. Yeah. Bethlehem a little bit, then Bethlehem, Mexico, then Luxembourg. So Mexico was just it was like almost like a tournament out there. It was like a short tournament that has some really good players, has some good scouts involved. So I guess you can call it more like a showcase style event.
So
With
like
the whole
tournament, like 4 games,
like
like March Madness.
I think we had, I want to say 6 games. It's around 6 games. And it was kind of like spaced out to where, we would play a game, practice, be there for a while, play a game, practice. There was a whole bunch of scouts there from different South American teams, a lot of top players in the area, a lot of top imports, which are either Americans or Europeans or whatever the case may be, there as well. That was a fun experience. Great basketball, great food. Again, another out-of-body experience, just being in a different country. I was in a small town in Mexico, so like a dirt road town.
Oh yeah.
So it was real.
Yeah. No, you got a lot of lenses, a lot of experiences for sure.
Yeah.
What was your favorite spot?
Probably Luxembourg, just because, I mean, you guys can look it up, but Luxembourg is just like fashion capital, food capital. I think salary per household there is like one of the highest in the world. So they have money there. It's a melting pot. So there's people from France, Belgium, Germany, America, Jamaica, Africa. Like, it's just a huge melting pot. It's a small country. You can get to the top of it. Yeah, you can get the top. You can get from the top of the country to the bottom of the country in like 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
France is literally. I lived on the France border, so when I went to the grocery store, I was in France. That's crazy. It was just a cool city. They loved hoop there.
What was the development over there? I know we've been talking obviously a lot about development. What's it like overseas? Or again, are you on your own? Is it just you got access to facilities? Like, what's it like over there?
Pro. I mean, when you're a pro, it's like it's all on your own. You either can be the guy that is going out all the time, sleeping all day overseas, and then playing in your games, or you can be the guy that's like trying to get in the gym. Trying to go to the weight room, getting there early before practice. So it's kind of up to you. Obviously, in practice, they're going to try to put you through drills, and this is your player development.
Yeah.
But.
So in my notes, I have you played in Ireland. You didn't say Ireland.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about Ireland. Yeah,
and
Ireland.
You averaged 20 a game there.
I know.
You forgot
I forgot about Ireland. It's a blur right now. It's early, guys. Yeah, played in Ireland. That was a great spot. Loved it there. I would say it's probably a close tie between Luxembourg and Ireland just because my girlfriend came out to Ireland. She's behind the camera right now. She's excited. Threw that in there.
Shout out to her. She's helping us out big time.
Ireland was a fun spot, man. It was a beautiful place. I was kind of like more on the countryside of things there. I wasn't like near Dublin. Was like an hour and 30, maybe 2 hours away. But it was fun, man. Yeah, that Ireland was great. I loved Ireland. I would definitely go back there just to like vacation.
Yeah, for sure.
You would love it. You look like you got some Irish.
Yeah, honestly, I probably am. I don't know all the history.
Yeah.
I should tap into that, but I'm sure something like that. So you transitioned from playing into training. When did that decision come? When were you like, all right, I'm hanging it up? It's kind of next phase, next chapter. When was that?
After Luxembourg? Yeah, after Luxembourg. So I got hurt in Luxembourg, tore my Achilles. And
damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got hurt in Luxembourg, tore my Achilles. And the situation, like, building up to it was kind of random and weird. I ended up getting Bell's palsy, which is like when you lose feeling in your one side of your face. So it's the same thing that Justin Bieber had where everybody was freaking out. Like, remember when his face wouldn't move? Yeah, so Bell's palsy is like this random, I guess you can call it like autoimmune disease, I guess you can call it. Super random. Like, it happens literally just like to the 1%, 2% of the world.
What did you like? You wake up and...
Yeah. So obviously going back to research, and I was scared as shit.
Yo, I would be.
And so I was like, why does this happen? And, sometimes people thought that it happened because, if you leave windows open and it's really cold outside, it can freeze your face. And I didn't know that. Yeah, it was just a random thing. Woke up, couldn't feel the side of my face. Like, what is going on? talked to my girl. Actually, it was late at night. Talked to my girl and it was like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Like, I can't feel the side of my face. Like, I don't know if I'm having
freaking
I thought I was
out,
having
bro.
a stroke at
Yeah,
the time.
I would
And
be
then,
freaking out.
you know, she was just like, maybe try to sleep it off, rest it off. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, I didn't want to panic. So, didn't panic. Woke up the next morning, still the same thing. Hit up our president and said, hey, I need a doctor's appointment. I don't know what's going on. Went to the doctor. First doctor had no idea what was going on. He was like, yeah, you'll be fine. Like, he didn't even give me any instructions. He didn't even tell me what was going on. So I was like, no, I need a second opinion. Went to another doctor. She's like, yeah, you have, she said it in French.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? She said, looked it up. She's like, Bell's palsy, you know, because she's a French-speaking doctor. And so I was like, okay, wow. She's like, yeah, so you need to take these steroids. The steroids will loosen up your face naturally, and it goes away by itself. So I was like, all right, well, this is better than expected.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, it just happens. People don't really know why. It can be a ton of different things. You're traveling, and at the time I was traveling a lot, right?
Yeah.
I went from Ireland to Luxembourg because I left mid-season Ireland to go to Luxembourg. So weather different, climate different, all that stuff. And took the steroids. Now with steroids, they can loosen up your ligaments. They can also do funky things to just the way your body moves.
Yeah.
Right? So I took all this time off, and during the time off, went and played in our playoff game and tore my Achilles. And I think it was really the steroids that kind of like made that happen because of the way my body felt and just kind of how the steroids impacted me. So, yeah.
Got you. Yeah. Well, last thing, we got to wrap it up. We're in a public park. This ain't our park. So people are trying to hoop. But so then you transition into training, the skill development, obviously not the ideal end to your hooping career. But yeah, talk to us about how you got into hoop training when you decided like, all right, I'm just going to give back to the game, show other people. You wanted to stay in hoops, obviously. Did you ever think about doing something else?
Never really thought about doing anything else, to be honest. I mean, kind of went through my head a little bit, but I knew that I wanted to be around the game. I knew that I could impact it in a great way with these stories that we're telling right now. Storytelling is key. And I knew that, you know, there was a lot of uneducated players that didn't know what was going on, that didn't understand what it took to go overseas, to go to college and play ball, to, you know, impact the game in a great way. So I wanted to be a coach in some aspect. You know, I didn't really want to be like a high school coach or a college coach. I always felt that, you know, being a player development coach is a great way to impact the game and work with players individually, you know, and work with guys and really help them reach their goals. So got into it early, right after I was done playing, ended up helping my AAU coach out here, got into some skill development with some younger players, and then just grew it from there.
That's big time. Well, I think that we'll probably wrap up the first episode, at least the first one. We got many more to come. We're going to have some guests. And, man, this was solid. This was take 2. I don't even want to talk about that first.
And then we'll jump into, like, the more detail of the skill development stuff on another episode. But
for sure. We got we'll probably just – obviously, we just popped up like this. We got a folding table. We got chairs. So we're going to be in a lot of different spots all over.
Raw content, baby. Let's go.
Big time. All right. Appreciate you, P.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We're out of here.
Let's do it.